At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
And my name is Raymond Oliver Hogarth. Let me invite all of you watching tonight or listening by Facebook or YouTube to your program Focus on Liberia, where we educate, elevate, and promote everything Liberia. Today is Monday, February 6th, 2023, and let me welcome my co-presenter, Ansony Sieh. Ansony, good evening and welcome to you.
Good evening, Mr. Hogarth. It's good to be here. Thank you.
All right, and today is Monday, and our program is titled tonight, The Monday Night Debate, and we're discussing our topic for tonight, Cummings, that's Alexander B. Cummings of the ANC versus George Weah of the Coalition for Democratic Change. If today were elections day, who would you go for? Who do you think will win, considering all the pros and cons involved in our politics? And our debaters tonight are Mr. Jerome Gayman. They tell me he's an undeniably sedition George Weah supporter. Good evening, Mr. Gayman. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me, and I look forward to a great debate.
All right. He represents the Coalition for Democratic Change. On the other side is Mr. Mulbah Kesselly. Mulbah represents the ANC of Mr. Alexander Cummings. He will be here tonight defending the position of Mr. Cummings on why you think or why he thinks Mr. Cummings will, defeat George Weah at the polls. Mulbah, good evening and welcome.
Good evening to you, Raymond. Good evening, Jerome. Good evening, Ansony. Good evening, Robert. And good evening, good afternoon, good morning to everyone following this discussion. It is good to be here to represent the change in our Liberian politics. That is Alexander Bennett Cummings and the ANC. It's a pleasure to be here with everyone.
Okay, thank you, Mulbah. And our final debater, the last one we have is Mr. Robert Garguah. They call him the unquestionable independent mind. Good evening, Mr. Garguah Jr.
Thank you, Mr. Raymond, for having me tonight. This platform is a sister platform. I've been a contributor here, and I'm glad to be here tonight to be a part of the debate and listen to the two camps and what they have to offer. Thank you.
All right, it's great to have all of you guys. Now, let me remind you that if it's morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you're watching or listening to us, we'd like to say welcome again. This is the Monday Night Debate. Our topic tonight, Cummings versus Weah. If today were elections, October 2023, how do you think it will go? So we have the pros and the cons here. Mr. Mulbah Kesselly is representing the ANC camp, and Mr. Jerome Gayman, the CDC camp. Robert Garguah Jr. is an independent. Now, let's lay the ground rules before we begin our debate. I'll allot each of you debaters 2 minutes to respond to any question or make any comments. 2 minutes, you will be limited to 2 minutes. Please, let's observe the time. And I want to invite all of you to be civil in your discussions, okay? You can disagree, but let it be in a civil manner. We won't accept insults or denigrations on this program. So I beg all of you to please stay in line. We'll observe our 2 minutes, and believe you me, I'm very strict when it comes to time. So you have 2 minutes, and I'll be timing you right on the clock, and you don't go beyond that. Now, let's begin our debate. Now, we know all of the happenings in Monrovia as regards politics for the election come 2023 October, the presidential and general elections. The president is going for re-election. He's the incumbent, Alexander Cummings. Some people say he's just coming to the scene, but I don't believe so because he took part in the last elections, even though he did not win. But if today were election day, why would Mr. Weah want to win re-election? Why would Mr. Weah want to win? What are the attributes he has? What has he done since he took over maybe 5 going to 6 years now? Has he lived up to his promises or to his party platform, if there is any? Mr. Gayman, your take. Why do you think somebody should go to the polls and vote George Weah second time around to go 12 years?
Thank you very much, Oliver, and it's great talking to you. As you can see me, I am very buoyant. Before me is the gospel according to CDC. This is the Bible, the purport. This is the PAPD. So when I'm talking to you, I'm talking to you directly from the Holy Grail of the CDC, and nothing else but the truth. And the truth is within the proper Holy Grail, the Holy Bible. I have mine here. You can attest to it. It's the PAPD. This is the Holy Grail on which Dr. George Weah has run the country and will continue to run the country successfully. And as we go further, I'm going to lay out the groundwork, the successes, the challenges, and then we're going to compare and contrast. I'm ready.
Okay. Thank you so much. Let me get something from you, Mulbah, from the ANC camp. If today were election day, why do you think, how would you encourage Liberians to go out and vote for Mr. Cummings?
Okay, if today was election day, I'll be telling Liberian people from all walks of life, if you are tired with business as usual, if you can no longer live in a country where your brothers and sisters work every day and earn little to nothing, if you are tired living in darkness, if you are tired living in poverty, if you are tired suffering and being lied to, if you are tired with corruption in government, if you are tired with seeing our mothers and sisters die from curable and preventable diseases or in hospital beds because of lack of treatment, if you are tired with institutional corruption, if you are tired with corruption in the legislature, Alexander Benedict Cummings represents that singular most important answer you have in the 2023 election. It is not going to be a single man's doing, but we need a president who is willing to take the bulls by the horn, who will not mesmerize us with beautiful speeches, but who will take the necessary actions. We want a president who will not give us excuses, who will take responsibility for his actions, and that is what Alexander Cummings is. He represents consistency, he represents discipline, he represents a total change from everything we've witnessed in Liberia since the country was founded. This is a man who will allow every Liberian, regardless of where you come from or who you are, the opportunity to exploit your skills, to make use of your talents so that you can contribute to national development and national healing. We will not use your ethnic background, your tribal lineage, or your regional heritage to question you. The only qualification we will ask you for to contribute to national development and national renewal is that you should be a Liberian citizen. So Alexander Benedict Cummings represents that dramatic change from everything that has failed Liberia. So that's what I'll be telling our people today.
Okay, thank you so much, Mulbah, and my co-presenter Ansony will be in the background. Maybe he might have follow up, or we'll do that later on. But let's get an opinion from Mr. Robert Garguah Jr., the independent. Even though I know some people are texting me to say that Robert is not an independent as he claims, but Robert, you stand as an independent. Why? In hearing that perhaps you affiliated with one or two parties before, but
I've
why are
never.
you standing as an independent now? Are you?
Thank, thank you, Mr. Raymond. Yeah, you're at the facts. Sometimes we in our political discourse we try to confuse our personal opinion as facts. Here are the facts. I've never ever registered as a due paying or whatever kind of member to any political party in Liberia in the history of Liberia. Never. And if anyone can show contrary to this fact, I will donate $5,000 to their choice to their charity, their choice of charity. $5,000 right now. Ansony, I want to be on record. I will give $5,000 check, money order, cash app, however you want to receive that. If there's anything found to prove that I've been a member of a political party. And here's the many reasons why I'm not a member of what I refer to as political clubs in Liberia. Because in Liberia, I don't think we have true political institutions in our country. I think what we have are political clubs that are centered around individuals and not ideas. I'm cut from a club where I want to be part of a political party that share my core values, that share my ideas, that are based on some serious fundamental truth with regards to the issues, be it healthcare, be it the economy, be it whatever change is. I want to be part of that. I'm not a yes sir kind of guy. I don't want to be part of a party because I love Alice Cummings and because we once lived in Atlanta together, or because I admire how he speaks and how he dresses, and because we're from the same county. I don't go about my affiliations that way. It's about ideas. And so I'm hoping in my lifetime that we can really transform and institutionalize our political parties in Liberia so that myself and many others who have restrained from being a part of that system to be one that represents true political institutions centered around ideas and not people. That's the reason why I'm not a part of no political parties. Have I supported
Okay,
individuals from different parties in the past? I have, and I can count on my hands how many of those folks I've supported.
okay, that is well taken, Mr. Garguah. I know you defend that you're independent, but looking at our discussion tonight, our debate, and listening to the two debaters just now, even though I didn't want to go back into time, but I didn't. I
Yeah.
don't think I got a clear response from Mr. Gayman as to the question. But let me ask you: looking between the two parties, uh, do you see any substance in any of the parties? Or, for instance, the incumbent president now, do you think he has delivered on his promises on his party platform? And you think there's a need that people can re-elect him? Do you see that need? And
Uh,
on the other side, for Mr. Cummings, do you think he has something to bring into that office, perhaps that could change the dynamics of what we're seeing now?
right, right. So let's start with whether or not I think Weah is electable. And this is just, let's not talk about all of the different issues. And I think Weah is electable. And I don't think that anyone going into these elections should take his electability lightly. Now, with regards to whether or not he has met, come through with his promises, I think Mr. Gayman mentioned the PAPD. And whenever I hear about the PAPD, the first thing that jumps out is a few promises in the PAPD, right? I think it's pillar number 2 that spoke about very aggressively, spoke about uplifting 1 million people out of poverty. Now, if I was the opposition, one of the things that I would be pounding on is this question as to how many people of the 1 million promised to lift out of poverty have this government lift out of poverty. Is it 10%? Is it 15%? Is it 20%? Is it 100,000 people? Is it 200,000 people? Or is it 500,000 people? Let's look at another promise to fight corruption. Have this government and this president really moved the needle with regards to fighting corruption? I don't think they have. If they had, they would not have embraced characters like Prince Johnson. They would have turned the other way. Because Prince Johnson and others are not characters. I think if I was running for president, I would be pushing to establish war crimes, the economic crimes code, to have them held accountable for their actions. And so there are many different issues within the incumbent. I don't think that they've actually addressed. And for that reason, I think this election will be very difficult for them. Now, with regards to the Cummings camp, I was taking notes over here, and Mulbah says something very profound, which is, if you are tired with business as usual. So let's speak to what business as usual means. You know, I don't speak any other language, so I try to be very clear and articulate when it comes to the language, the English language, right? When you talk about business as usual, I think that we've got to be honest. Has Alice Cummings gone about his business in a different way than the norm? I don't think he has. What I expected Alice Cummings to do was to revolutionize the system. We have over 6 million people in our country. Of the 6 million people, you might have about 2 million or less than that will participate in the election. This idea that we must all go through the status quo, we must all embrace criminals, we must all embrace questionable characters to get to the executive mansion, is one that I don't agree with. Alice Cummings has not gone about his business as clean as we anticipated or as clean as we expected. There are people that he has recruited on his team that raises the questions about if he is really the candidate for change. People like Daniel Sieh, people like Dr. McIntosh, these people like Louis Brown, these are characters that were recommended on the TRC report to be banned from public offices, given their role into the destruction of our country, the backwardness of our country. How can Alice Cummings embrace these characters right now and then tell me that I'm the God to change the status quo? I'm the God you should trust to persecute criminals. I'm the God you should trust when it comes to corruption. I think it's contradicting. And so for him, I don't think he's as worse as the incumbent situation. But I think there are some questions as to, is Alice Cummings the God to replace George Weah? Is Alice Cummings the God that truly represents change? And if that's the case, has his deportment, his management, his decisions reflected that?
All right. Okay, Robert. Thank you so much for those insightful comments. Ansony, you have any follow-up you want to make? Or you think we can proceed? No, you're muted. You're muted, Anthony.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Robert, I think you spoke well. I think we should give Mr. Jerome Gayman to give an answer to the previous question. I think he thought it was for like an intro because we have not gotten a response from him yet. Mr. Gayman, you don't mind?
What was the question?
If elections were held today between Alice Cummings and George Weah, who will be victorious and why? That's the question.
Great. Well, obviously, at times I tend to be biased because I represent an incumbent. But today I'm going to take off my CDC hat and debate the issue reasonably, that anybody who has a reasonable political idea will understand. First of all, there are several things in political science and in leadership. Something called the bullet pulpit, incumbency, the power of incumbency, the power to appoint, the power to make changes. That is the power that everybody wants. But let's go to why the president should be reelected, or should he be reelected, or is he electable? And the question is resoundingly yes. The president. Let's look at our pillar number one. Pillar number one is power to the people. That is the PAPD, power to the people. It said to empower Liberians with the tools to gain control of their lives through more equitable provision and opportunities through education, health, youth development, and social protection. We are seeing what the president have done in health. We are seeing the different hospitals. We are seeing the 29 to 30 professional doctors that have been sent away to specialize in areas that have never existed in Liberia. We are talking about gynecologists. We are talking about geriatrics. We are talking about orthopedics. These are things that have never happened in Liberia. The president has invested in people going away to specialize. That's one. We are even talking about Mr. Cummings. When Mr. Cummings contracted the COVID virus, where did he go? He went to the 14 military hospital, and when he got out, they interviewed him. How was the service? He said the service was magnificent. The folks were professional. Everything went well. That's healthcare. We are talking about healthcare in every county here. Now we are talking about education. You saw the president put premium on helping every Liberian, including those of us in the United States that have always sent money home for Weah. He through his fiat, he decided that there will be no more Weah fee in Liberia. That is a major burden off of the Liberian people that put money directly into their pocket. That's education. So when the president is talking about the pillars, yes, we have to admit that yes, there are challenges when it comes to healthcare and education. Among the first pillars of his administration, I can give him an A+. We are talking about healthcare. We are talking about education in those two areas. There is no denying that the president has done exceptionally well in building 221 schools and renovating few. Now, you go to school at Lago Lipic in Magibi and see what he has done with that school. Go to all the schools in the MCSS system, and you will see what the president has done in a very short time. So what I'm telling you here is, if it comes to the pillars, where the president say, hold me to, we will tell you very well that this president is going to win, I would say, in the first round.
Okay, Mr. Gayman, thank you very much, even though perhaps we might have to counter some of the statistics and your information later on. But Mulbah, you listened to Mr. Gayman, and earlier you heard Robert. One of the issues Robert raised concerning the Cummings scam was the appointment of people he called people who were stained, who were named, he says in the TRSC report. I don't know for a fact. But what do you think? Do you think that is a minus when it comes to the Cummings scam, having the Louis Brown, the Gayman McIntosh, Alexander Sieh, people who have come from the past with stains? How do you think that plays out for the Cummings scam? Can you overcome?
In the first place, one of the fundamental objectives of Alexander Cummings and the ANC involvement in our politics is primarily about changing Liberia, changing the way we have governed the country, changing the way we have lived. Alex Cummings is by far a towering figure when it comes to the change mantra, and we all do agree. And that is why Robert, Mr. Gayman, and everyone will hold Mr. Cummings at a higher pedestal than Josh Weah and others, because they consider those other guys, Weah and other people who've been in government in time past, to already be birds of the same feather. Now, the distinction that I want to state here is that we want to teach our people a new way of governance, a better way of running the country. By associating with people who contributed to the civil crisis or were involved in the civil crisis, we are not in any way suggesting that they did not commit the crimes they committed in time past.
But what we are doing is to give them an opportunity to sit with us, to talk about Liberia. We learn from their horrible experiences and we teach them a new way of doing things. Take, for example, those you consider to be corrupt. We bring them in our fold, show them how to be accountable to groups, to people, to systems. Show them how to live in a disciplined environment. Let them learn from Alexander Cummings how he deports himself, how he carries himself, so that that attribute can be replicated in the general society. We are baptizing and changing people. We are teaching people a new way of life, a better way of running things, a politics that involves everyone. We want to be as inclusive as possible because the only way we can achieve our objective of generally changing Liberia is to ensure that people who are considered to be bad or people who did bad things, we bring them in our fold, show them a new way of life. When they go back to their various constituencies, they show a better way of living. Other Liberians will see that change has actually truly come and they want to emulate the good examples those individuals you consider to be bad apples to be learning. We are not attempting to use people simply because we want to get to power. No, we are showing people a better way of running and a better way of engaging people. That is fundamentally the key reason why we will work with every Liberian citizen, regardless of who you are or where you come from, because we cannot change Liberia by excluding people. We have to increase the tent, bring everyone under this tent of change, and teach them a better way of living, a better way of running systems, a better way of running government, and a better way of being accountable to the country and its people.
Okay, if you're just joining us, listeners or viewers, you're listening to the Monday night debate right here on Focus on Liberia, where we educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. My name is Raymond Oliver Hoggart, sitting in the host chair tonight. Ansony Sieh is my co-host, and we're debating on the topic, Cummings versus Weah. Now, like I said earlier, don't mistake, it's tonight we're focusing on Mr. Alexander Cummings. If elections were held today between Mr. Cummings and Mr. Weah, there will come another time when we host elections between Mr. Boakai and Mr. Weah, Mr. Bongo, Mr. Weah, and whoever is in the race. So tonight we're focusing on the Cummings versus Weah part of the debate. Now, Mr. Gayman,
Yes.
let me get back to you. You listened to Mulbah and you listened to Robert earlier. I don't know where Robert is now. Perhaps he's attending some issues. But Mr. Weah is the incumbent president. On Saturday last week, you had you call it 1 million man march. You had the rally at the Antoinette Tupman Stadium. Mr. Weah is calling on the electorates to put him back into office. Then on Sunday, yesterday, he was at his church. I think they call it the Foke Pond Jalet Church or whatever. And then as a pastor, and Mr. Prince Johnson was also in his church. And we heard Mr. Weah throwing shades. He even threw shades against Mr. Cummings the last time, asking the people, you think you're mixing Coca-Cola and running government and whatnot. But what makes Mr. Weah a better candidate in your thoughts than Mr. Cummings? Mr. Cummings has that corporate experience. He's been heading a big corporation, Coca-Cola, and Mr. Weah has served as he has served his first term almost to the end as president. But Mr. Cummings wants to unseat him. Mr. Cummings said Weah knows nothing about governance. He's not up to the task. He, Cummings, has the ability to deliver Liberia. What do you think makes Mr. Weah a better candidate than Alexander Cummings?
Well, first of all, Mr. Cummings has indicted himself. According to Mr. Kesselly here, he said when he came to Liberia, first he said he was a man with clean hands, Mr. Clean, that he would not do business with corrupt individuals. He came to bring a new style of leadership, and the people began to look at him. But as time went by, he began to do things that are contrary to his own mantra. His own mantra, he usually quotes Albert Einstein by saying you cannot do the same thing over and over and expect different results. So Mr. Cummings, everybody expected him to maybe bring about changes, bring in a new crew, develop his own workforce. Instead, he went to the bottom of the deck, the card. He picked some of the worst cards. He went back not only to the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf regime, but he went back to Charles Taylor, as far back as Charles Taylor, to bring tainted characters. And I don't have to name them, you know them. But to even make matter worse, Mr. Kesselly just admitted here. He used a word that is very, very telling. He says, we are here to baptize people, to change them, to bring them in our midst, for them to see good leadership. Hopefully they can emulate us. This is a man that is saying we should bring criminals, killers, murderers, vampires, looters into our midst and baptize them. Now you are talking about baptizing. It reminds me of one politician who said this man was so crook, but now he was Saul, but now he's Paul. We are coming from that same school of thought. We are now baptizing killers and murderers. Then he said, our 10 is B. President Weah made it clear. In leadership, there's something called decision making. That is the fundamental of leadership. Mr. Cummings has shown that he's a bad decision maker. He does not have principle. This is a man that went on national TV and said that Mr. Fallow McGill, Serena Seafors, and Bill Twelway were accused by the American government and they should be fired immediately. They should be removed and disassociated from Liberian community, from the society. In the same breath, he turned around and said, Louis Brown and all of these folks, I will bring them into my fold. And until they are found guilty in a confident court of jurisdiction, they will work with me. As long as they are not convicted, they are okay with me, even though the TRC named these folks as some of the worst individuals that don't need to be on the political scene. Mr. Kesselly said they will baptize these people. Mr. Louis Brown will be baptized. I don't know where. Maybe they got their own church now. But after these people have been baptized, every killing they did will be wiped out. Those people, those children that are now orphaned in Liberia because of the killings of these folks, those people will be all healed. So yes, President Weah, when it comes to decision making, he has made it clear that he is way above Mr. Cummings.
So you think when it comes to decision making, Weah is a better decision maker than Cummings?
As evident by the flip-flopping of Mr. Cummings, a clean hand that now turned out to be the dirtiest hand in town. Yes, he's a bad decision maker. If he tells you something, he doesn't stand on it, and he can't be trusted.
Mulbah, you want to rebut?
Okay, thank you, Raymond. You know, I anticipated that the debate will be raised beyond these parochial leanings and innuendos have been spewed by Mr. Gayman. But let me first fundamentally tell our audience who Mr. Gayman actually is. Mr. Gayman has proven time and time again that he is an unrepentant prophet of falsehood. He sat on this platform. He told us that Mr. Cummings had Ebola. That's a diabolical and unfounded lie. Mr. Cummings never contracted coronavirus. Sorry. Mr. Cummings never contracted coronavirus. So we need to check the facts Mr. Gayman seems to be spewing here. Mr. Cummings never had coronavirus. Mr. Cummings has never been to the 14th Military Hospital. That tells you the man we are dealing with is certainly not someone whose words should be taken seriously. He has no facts. He comes here, he's gossiping. He make up things in his head and he believed them to be facts. How can you come on such a platform and tell us things that are far from the truth? And you expect such a man to pass judgment on Alexander Cummings? This is unfortunate. This is unacceptable. We can go further on. Mr. Gayman sat on this platform and he told us that we did not have gynecologists in Liberia until George Weah came to the country. Are you kidding me? Why are we still allowing Gayman to sit on this platform? This is very unfortunate. At his age and at his level, we expect Mr. Gayman to speak to facts. So you're telling us Liberia clearly did not have any form of medical assistance or healthcare delivery system until Mr. Weah came to power before he started training specialists like gynecologists, like bone doctors? What is the number of doctors George Weah has trained? What is the number of specialists George Weah has brought about in this country? Look, the next time I come to this platform, please bring an honest edition who understands the issues in Liberia, who has the facts. Don't bring a gossip monger here. It is unfortunate.
Okay.
It is unacceptable.
All right.
You actually ask him to talk about Mr. Cummings. So I hope we keep this debate a fact-based debate. Please, let me talk about the question about why Liberians should consider Mr. Cummings based on his decision-making.
1 minute. 1 minute. 1 minute.
Good.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I thought you said 1 minute. Okay. The fact here is that Mr. Cummings has raised the bar of leadership in Liberia. George Weah uses him as his barometer to determine whether George Weah is doing well or not. Mr. Gayman uses Alexander Cummings to determine whether George Weah is doing well or not, or whether other Liberian politicians are doing well or not. So Mr. Cummings' involvement in our politics has fundamentally changed the mindset of a lot of Liberians, particularly those in the institution of intelligentsia, people who understand some of the issues, people who have read to some degree. They see that Mr. Cummings has raised the bar to a certain degree, to an extent where they use his statements and his comments and his decision-making patterns to draw judgment on actions of other political leaders. So that is one of the key reasons why Liberians should consider Alexander Cummings to a better leader than George Weah, and they would choose him over George Weah any day. Another thing here is the experience. George Weah has never managed anything successfully before. George Weah tried managing Royal Communication Network in Liberia. It failed miserably. George Weah tried managing a football club in Liberia. It failed miserably. George Weah cannot even manage football in Liberia while he's president of our country. But you want me to say someone would choose George Weah over Alexander Cummings? That would not work. Let's look at Alexander Cummings' track record. Since his involvement in our politics, he promised Liberians, for example, that he would stay in the CPP no matter what challenges come his way, no matter how difficult and daunting it would be. He would engage everyone to ensure we keep the opposition together. He kept to his word. He did not shift responsibility, even when people left the CPP, when people attempted to denigrate his name and uncharacteristically refer to him in very despicable manners. He still stayed in the CPP. He kept the CPP together. Today we have CPP registered. We are taking the CPP to election.
Mr. Mulbah,
of consistency is lacking.
Mr. Mulbah, may I follow up here quickly? You used the word baptize. You used the word change when you were responding to the point made by Jerome. Can you mute yourself? There's terrible feedback at the moment. All right. When Mr. Gayman talked about, I think Robert also spoke to that Mr. Cummings is doing business as usual by bringing folks like Louis Brown, Dr. McIntosh, Daniel Chid in his ranks and file, and even they are part of Team Cummings. The face of Alexander Cummings are people Liberians have questions, because of their involvement in the past, being indicted and even be banned from getting involved in our politics. Mr. Cummings made a decision for them to be part of his team. I'm raising that strongly here because what you are saying about baptizing and teaching these people was what the ANC Secretary General Alosha Toh said on the very platform when Liberians are raising questions about doing business with the likes of Benina Ure in the CPP. Now, your Secretary General Alosha said, and I quote, "We will change these people. We will force them to change. We will teach them a way to do business. He said that way before Bernard Ure took Alice Cummings to court. And Cummings pay a price politically. And you are going to change these people. So tell me, who has Cummings changed in politics before for us to believe now that when he gets to government, even in the political party arrangement, he has not changed anybody? How can we not say that he's going to change Liberia, change Louis Bryan, when he becomes president? How?
Ansu, you asked a question, but the mistake you made is that you pass a judgment while asking a question. You conclude that he has not changed anybody. Then you still want me to name people he has changed. I mean, that is unfortunate. So next time, please stick to the question and don't pass judgment and then ask me a question. That is unfortunate. So let me come to the consistency you have stated here. That is testament of the change we're talking about. You have stated here that the Secretary General of the ANC informed your platform, informed Liberians that we are going to change people that I consider to be bad people in the society. I have repeated the very same statement. I may have used other choices of words, but it has not changed. The fact here is we have a platform that is large enough to ensure that every Liberian can join us. We are going to change people. Now, you cannot blame us for people who decide that they will not change. Look, when Jesus came, for example, in this word, Jesus came for the bad people. Jesus came to change people. There are people who refused to change. There are people who decided that they will not repent. Even on the cross, there were two people on the cross of Jesus. One was denigrating Jesus. The other one repented, and he changed. You want to blame Mr. Cummings for people refusing to change their ways and see that Liberia needs to be placed first? It's unfortunate, Ansony. We are giving everyone, regardless of who you are, even you, Ansony, if you want to join us today, we will give you the platform to make sure that your skills are put to use. If you do the wrong thing, we will hold you accountable. If you decide to leave and join people who are doing bad things, unfortunately, you cannot stay with us. You have to go. But we will tell you, this is how we want to do things. This is how we want Liberia to get different. You have to be consistent. You have to be disciplined. You cannot tell our people to come to work at 8 o'clock. You cannot tell our people to come to work at 8 o'clock and you come at 9 o'clock.
Thank you, Mr. Mulbah.
Mr. Cummings will tell you when he says come 8, he will be there 8 o'clock so that he shows you exactly what he wants to see.
Mr. Kesselly, thank you. I'm not sure I have passed a judgment. I asked a very serious question. I think you provided an answer that is good. Let me come to Mr. Gayman. Earlier, you talked about power to the people, one of the pillars. And I'm looking at the pillar based on an independent report that came out this year. On Pillar 1, power to the people, the president of Liberia or the government of Liberia or the CDC made 106 promises. Of the 106 promises, according to the independent report, only 8 of those 106 promises completed, which is a completion rate of 8%. So you have a 92% failure. And you also said, I think Mulbah spoke to that.
Ansony, excuse me, please. I'm not cutting you off, but you got the numbers wrong. Let me correct those numbers, please. The report you're citing is a report that was recently published by NAMOT. The report says that the government, the president, or the entire CDC made 200. What's the exact figure here? I want to make sure we get the exact figure. 292 promises.
Mulbah, you're not paying attention. I will hold you there. I'm not talking about the total promises. I said Pillar 1. Pillar 1 is 106 promises. Check that record, Mulbah. I read this thing.
But then, if you are citing Pillar 1, it cannot be 8% of Pillar 1.
Mulbah, I don't see why you're doing this. Do you have it before you?
I have the report before me. I have the report, but you can go ahead. It's okay. I just
Mulbah, what you are doing is unfortunate. Go on page 9.
Ansony,
on Pillar 1.
Ansony, go ahead.
Go ahead, please. I just started to provide clarity, but you can go ahead.
Ansony, sorry for that distraction, Mulbah. Please don't distract anybody when they're delivering, okay?
Yeah, Bomba, I think you should hold your peace when one ends, then you have
when it comes to you, then you can say
yes.
anything.
But I have the record in my head. On Pillow 1, the CDC, according to the report, Pillow 1, power to the people, they made 106. Total promises 292. That's not what I'm talking about. The 8%
Okay, I got you.
completion
Go ahead.
rate is for only the 106 promises. So Mr. Gayman, let me come back to you. Looking at the fact that on Pillar 1 alone, power to the people, your failure is 98%. I mean 92%. You think the CDC is qualified to be re-elected by the people based on the report?
Well, Mr. Sieh, before I go to that, let me make some correction here. I think you, as the moderator, fact checker here, I think Mr. Kesselly 100% denied that Mr. Cummings ever contracted COVID-19. He denied that Cummings ever went to the 14 military hospital. I think these are things that can be easily.
Yeah, so if you don't mind, let me clarify that Cummings did not go to 14 military hospital.
He never
Cummings,
did.
Let me. You asked for it. I have the fact.
Go ahead.
So Cummings had returned to the country outside, and they had a COVID-19 facility at Kesselly military barrack. If I'm not mistaken, there where it was. There where they have. You want to make? Go ahead, Mama.
Mr. Cummings, when he returned to the country, he was taken at a Palm Spring resort in Congo Town. That's where he stayed because it was a mandatory quarantine. Not that he had a barrack.
All right, not a barrack. Thank you for that correction. So there where he was quarantined, it was not the military hospital.
I think you need. We'll put this on ice. You need to go and check your data because I have the interview when Mr. Cummings came from the hospital. He was asked, how was the service?
He never went to any hospital. He was at the quarantine facility.
Sir,
that is right.
Sir, we will give you the clip, and hopefully you can clarify that it was a mistake.
Please convince yourself, and if we are wrong, we will make that.
Okay, so we'll do that.
Hospital.
Okay, so you say he never did. I know he did. Okay. He said in one of his recent comment, he said there's no way the Liberian people will ever choose Weah over Cummings, but they did already. He got 7% in the past election, so I don't know where Kesselly is coming from. It can't happen. It has happened.
I think he was talking about the upcoming election. So
no, but you can't put words in his mouth. I'm quoting verbatim. But anyway, so he said that, but over that,
he said where the Liberian people chose Weah over Cummings in the last election.
The Liberian people have chosen him over Cummings. And then he went back and then tried to compare Cummings with Jesus, what Jesus did. But anyway, let's leave that. Let's go to our pillar here. When we are doing research, social research, social statistics, when you are doing social statistics, you talk to all people involved. You talk on both sides, and you do the encapsulation, you do the extrapolation, and then you interpret the data.
The question is based on the report. Based on the
report, as far we are concerned,
8%.
That
which
report,
is a 92% failure. Do you agree based on the report that it's a failure?
The report is not genuine. This is what I'm telling you. Because when you look at our report here, when you look at power to the people, it is in 4 parts. Did they break those 92 down into different 4 parts, like we did here, like I just told you, in education, in healthcare, in 4 parts, or they just went ahead and said, well, through the speeches, these are things that's not what we're talking about policy. What is written here in a PAPD? We look at it. We talk about healthcare, we talk about education, and we address those areas.
Have you read the report?
Anybody can come up with any report. I could come up with my own report and say, this is what I think happened.
Have you read the report?
Our report here says that We promise power to the people in 4 branches. We say healthcare, education. We spell it out, delineate everything else. We tell you what we have done in education, what we have done in healthcare, what we have done in the economic. We told you all of that, and they are there. For instance, when we started here, the inflation rate in Liberia was 30%. Okay, that inflation rate has been brought down to less than 8%, I think 7.2%.
Mr. Gayman, you are deflecting. I don't want to
No,
be
I'm
a
not
debate between
deflecting.
you and me.
Whatever it is in there, it is not an accurate
Did
account
you
of
read
the
the report? Did you read it?
I read the report.
Okay, if you actually understood the content of the report, you would know that they broke it down sector by sector for you to
But
say.
this is what I'm telling you. This is what I'm telling you. Anybody can do what they did. What we did, what we know we have done, the way we set it up is totally contrary to what they said. But they have the right to do that. They have to make their own money. They have
all right.
to
Thank you.
do that.
Thank you. That answers my question. Thank you.
All right. This is Focus on Liberia, the Monday night debate. We have Mr. Mulbah Kesselly from the ANC camp of Alexander Cummings and Jerome Gayman from the George Weah Coalition for Democratic Change camp. Also here is Mr. Robert Garguah Jr., an independent. He'll be back with us shortly here on the program. So if you're watching YouTube or Facebook, we ask you to please share the program, share the video with your friends. This is Focus on Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote everything Liberia. Now, let me ask you gentlemen. We almost, I think, 246 days, I think, away from elections on October 10th. George Weah, it could be Mr. Cummings, Mr. Joseph Boakai, or Tiawon Gongo, or whoever is in the race. The voters are going to the polls to elect a president. Mr. Weah is incumbent. He knows all the ins and outs of the presidency. He has the contacts. He knows the people. He has the leadership in his hands. So to wrestle that from him will take a very strong, vibrant, knowledgeable, and powerful candidate. Now, Mulbah Kesselly, today, if it were elections day, the voters are going out there. Does Mr. Cummings stand a chance to win the presidency, even in taking that George Weah is incumbent? He has the inroads to everything. He has all of the contacts. He has the political power now. And I mean, he can reach all the people anytime he wants to. Does Mr. Cummings stand a good chance of defeating Mr. Weah, you think? And if you think so, why do you think that way?
Okay. Before I go there, I wanted to provide clarity for Mr. Gayman again. Nemo is not fraud. Nemo is supported by the Swedish.
No. Mulbah, let's disregard Nemo.
We're on a debate here, please.
Yeah, it's a debate. But the time will come when I'll ask you to go there.
On a credible institution.
You go in your 2 minutes, though.
But okay, you are taking my 2 minutes now. But
No.
again, Nemo is credible. Nemo is supported by the Swedish embassy. President George Weah recognized the Swedish embassy. They travel with President Weah everywhere he goes. Therefore, their reports are credible. They've been reporting for the last 5 years.
Nemo has been around for years.
No, I mean, I'm counting the time they've been reporting the president's meter. It is supported by our international partners, the very partners.
Yes.
President
It's
Weah
a credible organization.
Now, let's go to the question. If we had elections today, I can tell you that Mr. Cummings would beat George Weah. It's simple as that. George Weah has shown that he is unable to govern the country. George Weah has shown to our people that he is corrupt. And the fact that you even recognize all of the largesse and everything he has at his disposal, he will attempt to use the presidency, the monies from Liberia and corruption to steal the election. That we are going to stop and prevent. It will not happen. If we had a free, fair, and democratic election today, Liberians would not vote for George Weah. They will obviously vote for Alexander Cummings. And you know why they will? Because one, of all the people running to be president, the top three candidates, Mr. Cummings understands economics and finance better than the other two top candidates. Mr. Cummings has had access to finance more than the top two candidates. That includes Joshua and the other candidate. So look, if we had election here today, people are tired of suffering. People are hungry. People cannot feed themselves. People cannot earn decent livelihood. Fathers and sisters are going bankrupt. They have no money. In fact, people are struggling just to make ends meet every day that they cannot find. And you know who is capable of changing that condition immediately? Alexander Cummings. He has the necessary connection, he has the understanding, he has the international pedigree to be able to attract foreign direct investment, something Mr. Weah has failed to do since he became president. You cannot state two, three companies of foreign direct investments have come to Liberia as a result of George Weah's engagement. So look, Liberians know they
Mr.
want
Kesselly,
the yeah.
this is a quick follow-up here. You are saying Mr. Cummings is the capable hand here based on his track record. And on the other side, we look at Mr. Weah, he does not have the track record. So, let's say for the sake of argument that is true, but then the people have to decide. Do you know for sure the people see it the way you see it from the Cummings side? The people might be looking at it the other way. What do you say?
Look, Ansony, I am not going to sit here and start to share CDC sentiments. Mr. Gayman will obviously try to make it look like the people are not listening to Alexander Cummings. The people are listening to Alexander Cummings. Are you aware that in 1 year, when Mr. Cummings got engaged with our politics from 2016 to 2017, he accumulated over 100,000 votes? That's the highest vote traction any politician has gained in contemporary Liberian politics for the time frame Mr. Cummings got involved with our politics. And you want to tell us that such a man is automatically unpopular and that he cannot win? Look, Mr. Cummings poses a great threat to George Weah. You go to the communities, people know the issues, people understand it. Talk to citizens, talk to any citizen. 95+% of them will tell you if they are not voting for George Weah, they will vote for Alexander Cummings. Are you speaking to me? You are muted. I can't hear you. Ansony, you are muted. I can't hear you if you are speaking to me.
Ansony, you muted. You are muted. You're still muted.
You are muted. If you are speaking to me, I can't hear you.
Ansony, you are muted. You are muted.
Okay. So anyway, let me go ahead. Apparently, Ansony is not here.
No. Hold it there. Mulbah, don't go. Anthony, you are muted. Check your board. Okay, but okay. While Anthony is trying to work out that technical issue, let me come to Robert because I don't know where you were, Robert. Were you following the discussion?
Yes, I've been following. I've been following.
Okay. Now I'm sure you listened to Mr. Gayman and Mulbah.
Yes.
Now, as an independent, Robert, elections were held today. Cummings he has a point of being one who doesn't want to do the same things and get the same results. He wants that change. Mr. Gayman is saying that they have delivered on the promises. The first pillar, they're delivering. They got access to health care in place. Education is in place. And you've been following and you know all of these things. Now, tell us your honest opinion. If the Cummings and George Weah went to the polls today, from your own assessment, your own evaluation, who do you think stands a better chance?
Oh my gosh. I don't even think that, to be honest, though, it's not about who you support necessarily, but just looking at the history of elections in Liberia, and George Weah being the incumbent, of course, he has the advantage of cash. He is technically ahead of the game when it comes to these elections, and I also think that he has the advantage of a more unified incumbent as opposed to a splintered opposition. And so, if the election was to be held today with Alice Cummings, with this CPP collaboration now that includes the Liberty Party, and I think according to him, they've been making efforts to get more folks on board. I don't think that just looking at the popularity part of what most of our elections are made of, I don't think Alice Cummings will win an election against George Weah if the elections were held today. I do think, though, that if we are looking at some of the substance, as far as what Cummings brings to the table, I think that there are a lot of energy and a lot of, I would say, very carefully, a lot of hope surrounding Cummings. I do believe, just given what Cummings has achieved. Look, it's not an easy fit to claim these ladders in corporate America. And I'm one person who is I have admired what Cummings was able to achieve. People can talk about the fact that he ran systems organization in his country or not. The fact that he elevated to the levels that he did, I don't think that he's a guy that he's an asset to Liberia. He brings a lot to the table. The question is, has he exhibited enough of the leadership, different leadership to really break those glass ceiling? I don't think he has. And I think that they have a lot of work to do with just the collaboration with the CPP, which includes ANC and Liberty Party. But let me go back to this whole George Weah thing. I think that and this is why I continue to say, Mr. Raymond, that it is an advantage to the incumbent that the opposition is not as united as we all anticipated there will be with the original CPP. Because when you look at everything that has happened, I think George Weah, to some extent, has done some things that many will conclude that it campaigns against himself. And when you look at the PAPD and all of what has been discussed in that PAPD, let's look at education. Mr. Gayman mentioned education. Look, I commend the president for paying wire fees. I think that took the burden of our poor parents, many of whom does not have jobs in the country. This whole idea with regards to free education, I don't think it has been in a reform that we expect it to be. But look at education. I don't think George Weah himself believes that in a period of 5 years, he's done enough to really reform our education system. If he did believe that, he would not have gone out his way to emphasize his 5-year educational plan during his recent State of the Nation address. He was very adamant about his ambition to really put out this plan. The question is, why did they not formulate a 5-year plan in 2017? Had they done that with some serious expert on board, we would have been further now with regards to education reform in our country. I am an advocate for education reform in Liberia. And when you looked at the Minister of Education, Professor Ansony, God bless his heart, I respect him tremendously. But when you're talking about 21st century education, science, math, technology, so forth and so on, we need to recruit people who understands what it takes to get us on board with the rest of the world. And I don't think Professor Ansony is the guy to do that. So if this person is reelected, if he's given a second mandate, I hope he follows through with this. But when you look at all of what was promised, I think most of these were not thought of, well thought out. You have to lower the expectations. You have to not promise so much because it's not so much you can do. But you have to lower the expectations, and you definitely have to have priorities. Where are our priorities right now? Is it creation of jobs? Is it education reform? Is it healthcare? Is it building institutions to work independently? All of these different things. The president have got to say, look, these are my priorities, and here are my mandate in the first 4 years. I don't think the CDC did that in the PAPD. It seems congested, too much going on in there. And which is the reason why we are where we are right now. So the incumbent have, on many instances, campaigned against themselves, but on the same hand, the opposition has not shown enough unity, have not shown enough leadership, have not shown enough change to really say, look, we can replace George Weah, and we can do better. I don't agree with this idea that anyone can replace a George Weah. I don't concur with that.
Okay, Robert, thank you. This is Focus on Liberia, the Monday night debate. Shortly, we will go to the lines to hear from our callers. So we'll ask you again to please share this on your page, YouTube or Focus or Facebook. Share the program Focus on Liberia. Now, Mr. Gayman, let me come to you. We know that the coalition of democratic change, the LPDP, the CDC, the NPP, and the MDR of Mr. Johnson in 2017 all gang together and brought Mr. Weah to power during the elections. But of late, there has been some disenchantment among the members of that coalition. You listened recently to Mr. Johnson and President Weah. You also heard of the hula baloo taking place in the NPP. And I listened to Mr. Alex Tyler, the political leader of the LPDP, the other day. They have not signed any coalition agreement as yet. Even up to today, they have not even signed that agreement. But they went to the political rally on Saturday. Now, taking into consideration the dismemberment of the coalition, I will call that the dismemberment, all of these acrimony going up between the various parties. What do you think as a member of the Congress for Democratic Change? Do you think this will embarrass or will hinder the move for President Weah seeking re-election? Don't you think this will hamper his chances? Do you think the opposition can play on that and try to bring Mr. Weah down? What's your thought?
Well, thank you very much. As a political tactician, I can tell you that in every political forum, there's always fight. I remember during the Barack Obama time, we had a very strong opposition. In Bernie Sanders, they had the most famous slogan, "Feel the burn." They were out there, and it was rough. And the Hillary Clinton groove and all of that, they had that. And the opposition was kind of salivating. At the end, they came under one umbrella, and the rest is history. I think if you want to talk about signing of the document has been signed. When you look at the legal document that brought this marriage together, it says 2/3 of any political party can make a decision. It didn't say the president, the chairman of the party have to sign. Once you have 2/3 within that political dispensation, you are good to go. As far as we are concerned, we have 2/3 in the camp, in the Johnson camp. We have 2/3 in the Ali Tyler camp. We have 2/3 all over. So
with other political leaders.
Listen, we are talking about legal document. The legal document says 2/3. Okay, we are looking at 2/3. So whatever you call the political leader, the leader is the constitutional democracy for which we speak. We do not have any strong men or strong women. We have strong constitution. And if this country is going to survive, we have to survive on the constitutionality of our upbringing and our establishment. But now let's talk about the leadership in the CDC. Today you heard our illustrious, vibrant Secretary General, Mr. Jefferson Koji. He said, yes, there have been mistakes made, there have been some bad blood, but that's what this is all about. In every family, there are fights, and we will sort them out. This is why the organization have made a conscious effort to have a return, the year of the return, or reconciliation, a date and time to be established by the chair of the party, where those who consider themselves disenchanted seditionists, those who were sitting on the fence to come back to their party. Because if you saw the body language today of the Secretary General, he was much buoyant. That means he's negotiating from the position of strength right after this rally. And this is what we do in politics. When you go at a negotiating table, you go from the position of strength. If this rally was a flop, the president would not have been in the pulpit talking the way he was talking. If this particular event was a flop, you would not have heard the Secretary General speaking the way he spoke. You would not have seen the olive branch. You would have not seen setting date and time. So yes, we are now talking about putting together the mighty coalition and the opposition. To be very frank with you, as it stands, you can see that basically they have thrown in the towel. Because usually, real quick, when the president gave his State of the Nation in this country, the opposition, which is the Republican Party, would go and say something, and they go ahead and rebut. But in Liberia, after the president did his SONA, there were 10 responses, different individual responses. That tells me the fragility of the opposition. There is no opposition.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gayman. Now, Mulbah, you listened to what I asked Mr. Gayman. With this fragmentation of the coalition, the CDC, the LPDP, the MDR, the NPP, and the rest of them, how does it play into the plan of Mr. Cummings? Do you think Mr. Cummings can exploit that situation to his own advantage? How do you think it will work for your party?
I mean, first of all, I want to state that the fragmentation in the Coalition for Democratic Change.
Speak louder, Mulbah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, as I was saying, I want to state that the fragmentation in the Coalition for Democratic Change is another testament to the mismanagement of George Weah. George Weah could not even keep a coalition together for a single term. George Weah did not live up to the agreement he signed with other coalition members. George Weah never says one thing and lives with it. He says one thing in public, he does different thing in the background. That is who George Weah is. And the fight you see in the coalition today is just to prove to the Liberian people that this man is certainly not serious about anything. He makes promises to friends and people he used to come to the presidency. He did not live up to the promises he made to them. But as the CPP, the ANC, and the Liberty Party, we are excited to see that even people in the Coalition for Democratic Change are beginning to realize that our long held belief that Mr. Weah is not a leader, he cannot manage the country, is being shown even in their little coalition. He cannot manage the coalition. And we have opened our arms to other members in the coalition. In fact, we have opened our arms to seditions, people originally from the Congress for Democratic Change. We want them to come and join us because they want a better Liberia. They want a president who will say and mean what he says. You have to walk the talk. You can say one thing and do something totally different in the background. And Alexander Cummings has shown to seditions and people in the Coalition for Democratic Change that yes, I am the alternative to what you've seen in George Weah. If George Weah lies to you, I'm not going to lie to you. I will be very blunt with you. I tell you the facts, and we all can come work together and make Liberia a better place. And I must say, still here, by the way, that people in the coalition have started reaching out, and our folks are also engaging with them, and we are talking with them. In the not too distant future, we are anticipating most of them will be joining the CPP so that we can get Liberia working again. We can get Liberia on a better footing and change the livelihood and condition of our people in country.
Okay, Mulbah Kesselly, a representative from the Alexander Cummings ANC camp, and also here Mr. Jerome Gayman from the CDC camp. Robert Garguah Jr. is an independent. He's also a part of the program. I think we can now go over to Ansony, maybe perhaps to take a few calls, and then we'll come back to our panelists. So this is Focus on Liberia. Yeah, we elevate, educate, and promote all things Liberia. Ansony, you can take
Thank
all
you.
now.
Thank you, Raymond. And I think the discussion, the debate is going well. Mr. Kesselly, uh, we are looking at Mr. Cummings' chances here. Uh, and the question I want to ask is, where would the numbers come from that will propel Mr. Cummings to victory in a match that involves him, Mr. Boaka? People say he has a name recognition, and Weah, who has the privilege of being an Cuban. Where would the numbers come from?
Okay. There's something a lot of people do not know.
Mhm,
The results from the 2017 election put
mhm,
the ANC at the third place.
mhm,
So it was Weah, Mr. Weah, Mr. Barker, and Alexander Cummings. That
mhm,
was in less than 12 more time of engaging our people. If you look at the voters trend in Montserrat County, the
mhm.
people in Montserrat normally have proven that they do vote for change. Montserrat is determined actually to vote for change. Now, our numbers will come from a lot of places, and I can clearly give you a roadmap.
Okay.
We are certain of either winning number one or number two in Montserrat County. That is, we're not going anywhere beyond number one or two. Because look, if you look at folks in the Unity Party, they tell you if Mr. Bakai, I'm not voting for Mr. Bakai, I'm voting for Mr. Cummings. Folks in the CDC, they tell you if I'm not voting for Mr. Weah, I'm voting for Mr. Cummings. Now, that is a huge voter base that we need to engage to make Mr. Cummings their first choice to add to the numbers we already have. Now, understand that we have not had a political rally since 2023 meant to say, let's gather and show strength. We've not had that. Joshua is the only person who has had that. So do not see Joshua's re-nomination program and singularly conclude that he has the vote. If you can recall in 2017 when we had our political rally at the ATS, we filled the ATS up way better than what the CDC did. And also understand that the ATS does not take more than 15, 20,000 people. The highest number all around the place and all around the country would be around 15,000 people. Now, our votes will come from Maryland County. Our votes will come from Grand Bassa County. Our votes will come from Nimba County. If you understand, our chairman is from Nimba County, and we are heavily involved in Nimba County. We have a very strong footing in Margibi County. Look, we are engaging every sector of Liberia, every region, every city, every village, every clan, every town. We are not just sitting in Monrovia and talking. We are engaging our people. The fact here is that Mr. Cummings now has name recognition. We did not have that in 2017. Everywhere you go, people talk about Alexander Cummings. Even on Focus on Liberia, you talk about Alexander Cummings. Everywhere George Weah speaks, he talks about Alexander Cummings. When he sings his songs, he sings about Alexander Cummings. I mean, how can you now say Mr. Cummings doesn't have the name recognition as compared to the others?
So there's an interesting comment you made, Mamba. If you don't mind, let me interject here. Very interesting comment you just made now. Just now, you said, "Hey, when you ask people, who would be their second choice? Let's say, for example, if say they were not voting for Boaka or Mr. Boaka not in the race, more than likely a good number would say, well, I'm going with Mr. Cummings. That means that Mr. Boaka is still in a significant way standing before you. Is that any political reading? Let me let my question. Is that any political reading from your camp that, I mean, if anyone is in our way based on the what people are telling us is Mr. Boaka, are you trying to get him out? That will increase your chances, and in as much as he remains there, your chance is slim. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
No, we are not trying to get anyone out of the race. We want everyone to compete. Mr. Cummings has said that time and again. We want everyone to be involved in our electioneering process.
Mhm.
What I'm telling you here is that our vote traction is better than the other candidates.
Okay.
Now, if you speak to a United partisan, for example, they will not tell you to vote for George Weah. They would not. They do not see George Weah as an alternative to their leader. if you speak to a seditious, they do not see Mr. Barker as an alternative to their leader. But both sets of partisans see Mr. Cummings as an alternative to their leader.
All of them?
What we're telling you is we maintain our base. Our people
all of them or just some of them?
What did you say?
I said all of them or just some of them, because there are some here.
I will sit here and tell you everybody. I mean, everybody can think the same way. A significant portion, over 80% of any of the two sets of partisans, obviously see Alexander Cummings as an alternative. What this states here is that rather, almost over 80% of the general Liberian voting population see Alexander Cummings as an alternative. Now, what we are battling with is for the rest, for every one of us to put him as spot number one instead of people taking others and putting him at number two, right? But people in the ANC already have Mr. Cummings as spot number one. We want all the other group of people to put him as spot number one, and then we can win the election. That is what I'm trying to tell you.
Thank you. And Mr. Gayman, let me come to you here. And what I see here is that President Weah, others are saying he's vulnerable because poverty has increased in Liberia based on reports. And more so, if you look at the failures that being reported by NIPMO, it's a massive failure. Even when it comes to governance, they are saying you score 0. Are Liberian people now looking at these numbers and making their decision? Because the rally that you are talking about, let's say you brought like 20,000 out. That is completely nothing, isn't it?
Well, Sonny, first of all, let me address the economic part of it. I think I want to show you this. I don't know if you can see it here. Is the latest CBS poll, ABC News. It said record numbers of people in the United States feels that they are worse off since Joe Biden came to power. 40% of Americans feel that they are worse off since Biden came to power. We are talking about a global trend here. If the great United States that have the greatest economy in the world, if the folks can feel, even though it's not a factor, that's just a perception, they feel that economically, 40% feel that the economic situation has worsened. Is the ABC News yesterday. It's right here. I can send it to you. You can read it. 40% of the American population feels, which is not true, but that is the perception they have, that 40% of the American population feel that way. So, but anyhow, let me go to Mr. Kesselly here. Mr. Kesselly, thank you very much for admitting that you are a brass maid. You are ANC. You are an alternative. If Waika wasn't there, then you'd probably be number. If Joe Weah wasn't there, you'd be number one. But guess what? Since Waika will be there, since Joe Weah is going to be there, you are nothing. And you just admitted. This is what we are talking about. Liberian people are saying to you, if Waika is not in the race, we may look at you. If Weah is not in the race, we will look at you. And I think Mr. Ansony Sieh was right. Now that these people are in your way and they're not moving, you might as well do what you intend for the other folks to do. You might well just join, come back to the CDC because you are a son and daughter of the CDC. And hopefully 2029, you get a blessing. St. George Weah is going to be the kingmaker for the next 30 years because he's going to be only 62 when he's out of power. Remember now, Alex Cummings is 66 already. 6 years from now, he'd be what? 72. And he would depend heavily on George Weah's blessing, if need be. So yeah, Mr. Ansony said you are right. Kesselly just admitted. If Waika is not in the race, people say he will be the alternative. If Weah wasn't in the race, he would be the alternative. But since these people are in the race, he's nothing. So actually, we are elevating him here. He shouldn't be here because this is not West.
Can I follow up, Mr. Gayman? You are saying when it comes to the numbers, given that he has Waika and we are in his way, he is not the alternative when it comes to the numbers. who the people will vote for ultimately, based on popularity and other things. But do you think Cummings is any alternative when it comes to policy, when it comes to leadership, when it comes to consistency in any shape and form? Does he present, does he have anything in him that looks like an alternative when it comes to leadership?
Not at all. In leadership, you have to be consistent. You have to be principled.
Mhm.
First of all, the major error he made was when he came with this clean hand thing,
Mhm.
where he was not going to work with anybody who is tinted.
Mhm.
And we saw that he flip-flop on that. Not only did he flip-flop on that, but in the worst way.
Mhm.
And then not only that, when it comes to management,
Mhm.
this is a man who gave $70,000 of his own money to somebody to put in the back of a pickup truck to go and pay people, and somebody's absconded. Somebody stole the money. This is not leadership.
And you hold him responsible for that? That thief stole from them?
Of course, if your decision maker makes you, if you are a magnet to thieves, because we want him. When you have the likes of Louis Brown and Gabriel McIntosh and all of these folks, and then you turn around, how did he get this $70,000? We are talking about transparency. Since then, Mr. Cummings have never, he have press conferences every day, but he has never come to say, ladies and gentlemen, I withdrew $70,000 from this bank, from this account, and this is how it was transported. Nothing. Everything is quiet. This man is not
Thank you.
transparent. He cannot manage $70,000, and
Thank you, Mr. Gayman.
Thank you,
Mr. Gayman.
Yeah, Ansony, I think we can go to the lines now.
Yeah. So let me
Because-
ask my final question here. The both of you each have yours candidate, right? And Mr. Gayman, there's no one that is without blame. We all make mistakes in life, and I demand honesty here for the sake of this debate. What has President Weah done, if any, and I'm sure there might be, that you think may cost him this election?
To be honest with you, you say you want an honest answer, you'll get one. Nothing that has reached the threshold of him losing the elections.
All right. Thank you. And Mr. Kesselly, same question to you. What has Mr. Cummings done, being a human being who makes mistakes like all of us? What mistake has he made that can cost him this election? And what has he done to maybe undo that mistake?
I mean, that question actually is for the incumbent, because it is the incumbent that is pillaging our country. But I mean, Mr. Cummings has not done anything that should stop him from winning the election. I mean, he's not served as president before, so that question is actually something that should be reserved for the presidency, because we see that the presidency under Mr. Weah is running down the drain. But before I end here, Ansony, I'd like to read a release from the United States.
There are some folks in the ANC who believe that joining the CPP was a mistake. Do you?
I mean, people have the right to express their opinions, and obviously people express how they feel about things, but that does not mean it's the fact, and we respect their opinions. But look, this is a political race. There is no single rock to use to kill this bird. We have to do a lot of things, and we have to work hard, and we keep working. So that would not cost us the election. Okay? But Ansony, before you go, I'd like to read something here to prove to you why George Weah is a common thief, and the government is corrupt, and they are killing our people with the stealing. The United States Embassy near Monrovia released this today, and I can share with you.
I read it. Go ahead.
It says the United States mission to Liberia expresses serious concerns about the report in the February 2, 2023 edition of Front Page Africa newspaper regarding the misuse of funds provided by the United States government to support health care for the people of Margibi County. We have a special responsibility to ensure that money provided by United States taxpayers for the benefit of the people of Liberia, including the people of Margibi, is used for its intended purpose. We commend the investigative journalism that brought this story to light and appreciate a swift action by the Ministry of Health to make immediate changes while investigating the matter. The USAID mission to Liberia will decide whether to retain McGivy as part of USAID's government-to-government agreement pending a transparent investigation and associated actions to hold accountable anyone involved in the misuse of U.S. government funds. Ansony, this is testament that these people are wickedly governing our country. They are stealing monies for healthcare delivery in our country. See now, the United States Embassy is threatening that they may withhold fundings for healthcare delivery in Maggie County. You know how many people are going to die because of corruption and Joshua stealing our people money? You know how many people's lives have been put at risk? The government cannot even support the healthcare delivery system in our country. Then our most important and significant international partner gave our government money and they go steal the money. You know the lives they put in at risk. And this is the man you want to re-elect? The man who doesn't care, he can kill our people.
Thank you. Thank you. We will now take a short break. When we come back, we will be taking the phone calls. All the callers are lined up right now. A short break, and we'll be right back for the calls. Okay, we are back with you. I see that this wireless caller, let me see. The first number here is, yes, that's Evan Morris. Mr. Morris, you are live. Mr. Morris, you are live. Yeah, hold on, Morris. Let me make an adjustment here. We're not hearing you. Okay, now you are loud and clear. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. I was saying hello to you and hello to the panelists tonight. I just want to say, I admire Mr. Kesselly. I think he epitomized, a partisan of the ANC. Person of such hubris and arrogance that he'll come on the platform and try to correct everything that the host on the platform is trying to state. That's one of the things that people say about the ANC, and I think he embodied it tonight. But then to go to Mr. Gayman, I respect you, and usually you do well for the CDC, but tonight you didn't do it. It wasn't a job well done tonight, and that's not even your fault. It's just the reality is that you can't defend the CDC record. It's undefendable. You can't defend it. But then let me go back to Alexander Cummings real quick. Some of us who went to high school, went to college, in life, the most Are you hearing me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, in school, for example, the most popular people are not usually the smartest people. Maybe they're the jocks, the sports players, and people tend to like them. The smartest people are the nerds who don't have a lot of friends, who are not popular. And in this case, when you look at George Weah, you look at Cummings, it's similar to that. But in an arena that Cummings finds himself in, it's about the popularity. It's a popularity contest. If you was looking at, contestants to be president who were picked by a board of directors, Cummings will win hands down every time. But in this situation, it's about popularity, and George Weah has the popularity. He's been a celebrity for many, many years. So what you guys should have done as the ANC was to try to make him unpopular or try to make Cummings more popular. The former would be the most likely. Try to make him, less popular by, pointing out his record. But George Weah and his government is probably most likely going to get a second term unless Boycott, the United Party, CPP comes together. But thank you for the show tonight. I don't think both of these gentlemen did a great job. I think Mr. Gayman, he really let CDC down, but that's not his fault because CDC record can be defended. Thank you again so much for the show tonight.
Thank you. Our next caller here is Emmanuel Soman. Mr. Soman, if that's the name, 5924. You are live.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on the show tonight. And let me say, for you guys. Let me first of all say, welcome to my brother from the ANC. You know, what I'm observing in the graph in the ANC camp is just seen by the Lord. You're not reading between the lines. But when you read between the lines, you will make the very good, you have very good judgment to make. For example, Mr. Cummings came and said, you want to do no criminal, he will clean him and blah, blah, blah. But here is Mr. Cummings, with Louis Brown, Daniel Chair, Joseph Butler, who are major international leader that is Kwano, it has a Kwano opportunity. The whole gang of corrupt people from the Victoria Unity Party, you want and dining with them. And you think about, no, you saying, I call it, what look, let me be very funny, we are afraid of Cummings. We do not know this man. Where is he coming from? How can we trust our future with someone who's talking with such a lie? Do you think we can train George Weah with Cummings? Hell no. Do you think that if the election was to go second round between ANC and the CDC, do you think that Baka can support Cummings or will support Cummings? Hell no. Do you think that Mr. Uric and Bears can support the Cummings? Cummings is a political free fall. You guys will just keep some of your money and maybe you can't get past it and keep the balance.
Thank you.
Cummings is one of the most unlikable candidates in the history of Liberia.
Thank you.
Cummings cannot get more than 10% of votes in Liberia in presidential election. You can get more than 10%. Every for opinion pool that been conducted in Liberia, as soon as Mr. Butler is happy for me.
Thank you.
I think Butler is. You can happy for me. So for you to think that I call it Joel, so we need one government on the earth that is that corrupt. There's only one.
Thank you, Mr. Soma.
We need one key person. I said once, before I go, let me just tell Mr. Masai that the entire hierarchy of the ANC, they are very corrupt and they are the same corrupt people from the 12-year United Party. You're putting the same corrupt people from the 12-year United Party back in power.
Thank you.
No. These people have this country apart for 12 years.
Thank you, Mr. Soma.
You just need to leave from United Party to ANC.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. The next person in line is Mr. Jimmy Eastman. Jimmy, you are live.
Hey, my brother Ansony. Good program. I appreciate how Huggard is handling himself. My man, good job. And to the panelists, Mr. Kesselly always try to be brilliant, and of course my eloquent brother Jerome Gayman. Hats off to you. But I'm going to come at something in a different way, some similar to what the first caller tried to touch on. I've heard you guys deliberate for a while now, and either you are telling me about your candidate, how great they are, or you either decrying the other candidate, how terrible they are. Well, I want you guys to focus your attention on the electorate, the people who will actually be voting in October. What do you think will those people be voting for? What will be the issue or the motivating factor for them? And what basis did you arrive at that conclusion? What is your basis? What is your reasoning that you have identified? This is the reason. This is the way they would vote because this would be important to them. Because I believe a lot of times we focus not on the electorate so much, but maybe more trying to bring down another candidate or uplift ours. But what about the population? What will they be looking forward to voting for in October? That's my question to both of them.
All right, thank you. Let's go to the next caller. You have Mr. G.S. Kemo. You are live.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, and good evening to the panelists, and thanks to Mr. Haga for hosting this program down to the wire. We also thank the Buddha. Well, I just want to say that the other time I called on this show, maybe I said something, and then when Mr. Gayman responded, he said, I want to get out of the show. No, I'm very sorry, Mr. Gayman. Trust me, I like you. You are very much educated, but when it comes to this CDC thing, sometimes when you say things, it just throws you off the way. So, and I just want to register here. We have one gynecologist, female gynecologist in Kesselly Hospital called Dr. Bowman, the late Dr. Bowman. He's dead. He was a doctor in Liberia. And we got Dr. Photo, who also is an orthopedic. So if you say that Liberia never had those doctor, it is now that we are sending them, then I'm sorry. So also to Mr. Mulbah, Ms. Kesselly, thank you, my brother. You're doing great. But you're feeling this, Mr. Cummings, by the time he announced him coming, it been some problem for him. Those faces he got there, we are not saying they shouldn't join the party, but they should have been in the back, giving all the advices and things, but not to come up to be speaking for the party. There where Cummings is being down a little bit or it's down for a while because since after we started rallies, Cummings been quiet, we have not seen him, and it just sometimes they come up with press releases and things. But when Cummings was doing well, and from the time he announced that thing coming with the Louis Brown, with the Daniel chair, all the people is supposed to cloud on Mr. Cummings. So you need to do some rearrangement. I mean, they can be in a party but not be talking and standing with Mr. Cummings anywhere he's standing and to let him be in the back. They can be strategic, they can give some advices, they can give every other thing, but the face, that was been dragging Mr. Cummings down. So I thank you for this show. This show is good, the debate is good.
Thank you.
Mr. Gayman, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to think about that. Be accountable for what you say.
Thank you. Thank you, Kamal. All right. The next caller, the name here say Yati Hanan, phone number ending in 1108. Is that the name? Where you joining us from?
Yes, from New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Dr. Hannah Yarty. I was touched yesterday when a lady was on the show, and she was saying that the reason why she is voting for CDC, and I was in tears. She said that because the president went to all the villages, most of the villages, like the rural area, and tried to build through everywhere, and then put a light over them, and then her children is a widow. That this president had made her children to go to school, and now they are graduating from school, so it's a plus for her. And people were condemning her, and I got really, really emotional. And I was like, you know what? I have this strong feeling that Weah will win the second term. How why me? People must put him down. People must say, oh, he's a corrupt person. But for the black guy and my father went to school together. Black guy was there for 12 years. And we did not see anything well that he ever did. And my question to Cummings is that Cummings is a guy that just come in, and everybody asking for what he has done for the Liberian people.
Are you sure he just coming? Are you sure he just coming?
When I say listen, when I say coming, he's just coming into the politics. He's just coming when Ellie Johnson came around. That's the time we started seeing Cummings doing things. Cummings was in Liberia. He has not done anything genuine for the Liberian people for us to really see. That's what I'm saying. I have nothing against Cummings. I got nothing against Vodka. I got nothing against the Weah. So I had that feeling, and I was very, very emotional to see that old lady expressing herself. The little thing that the president has done in Liberia. That's why made a lot of Liberians are going for him.
Thank
it's
you.
not about because he's a football player or anything. And I'm I'm proud, and I will be voting on that day.
Thank you.
Yes, I will be voting for CDC because I think he has not done everything is not perfect,
Thank
but
you.
he has done well for Liberian people.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Yati. Let us go to Robin Harris. You are live.
Thank you. I just want to say a minute thanks to the panelists. You guys have done a phenomenal job. And I'm going to be very independent in that I'm not going to favor the one person here because we're all Liberians. And the reality of us being Liberian is making sure that our community succeeds. So if we just back each other, I think we just need to look at the stats and handle the issues in the right way. So let us speak the truth. That is all I want to say. And thanks to all of you guys. You guys be blessed.
Thank you so very much. Gentlemen, that will do it for calls. I will turn it over to Mr. Herbert.
All right, Ansony, thank you so much, and thanks to all of our callers. Don't worry. The next time we come, maybe we'll have Joseph Walker versus George Weah or Tiawon Gonglu versus George Weah. This is the first, and so we decided to pair Mr. Cummings against Mr. Weah. All right, we're almost out of time, so let me go back to our panelists. Mulbah and Jerome, you heard our callers, and I'm sure you listened to all they said. So let me come back to you. I will want your closing comments, but I'll ask you to answer this question, and then you can give your closing comments afterwards. I know one of the callers, Jimmy, I was trying to save that question for the last, but he brought it up. So let me re-echo it. Most times when we're talking about elections, it's true, of course, sometimes we forget the people who will execute these elections, our electorates. Most times we only talk with the politicians, but getting to the voters, those who will stand on the lines to vote, they are the main people because they will be looking for their employees to employ into public office. So, Mulbah and Jerome, your party, Mulbah, the ANC, have you begun reaching out to the people in the nooks and crannies of Liberia, encouraging them, educating them, uh, telling them what to do when they go out on voting day, who to vote for, what kind of qualities to look for in that leader that they will want? Have you begun that, Mulbah, in the ANC?
That's a beautiful question.
And then you can follow it with your closing comments.
Okay, but I want to state for the record that the ANC and the CPB together have engaged more Liberians than any other political party at this point. We've been to more parts of Liberia, and Mr. Cummings has actually traveled to more parts of Liberia than
How
both.
many parts?
More parts of Liberia. He's been to the 15 political subdivisions, but I mean, visiting villages and towns. Mr. Cummings has been to more parts of Liberia than both Mr. Weah and Mr. Bakai. For the record, and you can do your own fast finding on that. We've been to
And the president
every
has
local
been a
city.
nationwide tour.
Yes, several times, and we are about to just begin that. I mean, we've been to every nook and cranny of the country, every part of the country. We've slept in villages, we've slept in towns, we've been everywhere. We've drank from running water. I mean, we've been to every part of Liberia, and we keep engaging our people. So, let me address. I didn't get Mr. Eastman's question. I don't know if you could help me with it.
Yeah, he said what would they be voting for?
What are you telling the electorates?
Yes.
How are you encouraging them, educating them to be able to vote?
Okay, all right. That would be my closing statement. But someone else asked where Mr. Cummings is coming from. The fact is, Mr. Cummings ain't come from the tree. He ain't come from the sky or heaven. the same way every Liberian was born, that's how he was born. Right there in Monrovia at a government hospital. He lived in Point 4 on the Bourgeois Island. He graduated from MC in 1973. And as a matter of fact, he and Mr. Barker were in MC together, just so you know.
You mean CWA?
Sorry, CWA. The only difference here is that he had the opportunity to come to Liberia after he attended the Cottington University for 2 semesters. He had the opportunity to travel to America, and then he got his first master's. By the time he went back, the war broke out. He could not stay in Liberia. He had to stay in the diaspora, and that happened to a lot of Liberians. So Mr. Cummings is a Liberian. I don't know why people think he just come from some different country and he wants to run that country. He is a typical Liberian. His mother and father are both Liberians. Then someone asked, what has Mr. Cummings done for Liberians so much? For the record, Mr. Cummings has done more for Liberians than President George Weah has done. I mean, everything you see citizens counting today is because George Weah is president and he's not using his personal funds. But Mr. Cummings is using his personal funds to give out scholarships. He has the largest private scholarship in the country. He's helping students across all universities. Mr. Cummings has paid wire fees for students before, if you want to count that. Mr. Cummings has the only STEM school we have in Liberia is owned by Mr. Cummings. That's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So, I mean, Mr. Cummings keep engaging our people. The Cummings Africa Foundation is helping people all across the place, particularly within the medical area. We're providing medication for people in hospitals all across the country. We've been to parts of Nema that cars cannot even go. We take medicines there to make sure we take care of our people. Mr. Cummings keeps helping a lot of people all across the board. And so, I mean, if you are asking, just check. It's everywhere. But again, those are questions coming from our opponents. I'd like to thank you, Raymond. I'd like to thank Ansony. I'd like to thank Dennis and all the followers. I also like to thank Mr. Gayman for a beautiful show tonight. It's been good. I like the engagement. I look forward to coming back and still talking about Mr. Cummings and Liberia. I believe Mr. Cummings offers the best avenue in terms of the presidency to change our country and give our people a better country. Others may not believe so, and I respect their views because that's what democracy calls for. But, my fellow Liberians, 5 years after we elected George Weah as president of our country, our people are still living in abject poverty. 5 years after we elected George Weah as president, our women are dying along roads to go to hospitals. They are dying on delivery beds. They cannot find medicine. Our market women, the mothers and sisters in Red Light, in Sony Wen, in Douala, they cannot find buyers because the economy is so terrible. People cannot afford. George Weah has cut the salaries of our people more than any other person, and he has increased. Take for example, charges on data. He has increased charges on calls. Before George Weah became president under Madam Salif, we were making 3 days calls just on dollar. Today, a dollar only gives you 40 minutes of calls in Liberia. You decrease people's salaries and then you increase calling rates. If George Weah was a serious president, he would understand that, in fact, we need to increase the cell phone connectivity across the country because the more people you connect to the phones, the more money you make, you can better the economy. But because George Weah doesn't know, his actions are directly having an adverse effect on the economy and the livelihood of our people, he keeps putting taxes and taxes and taxes on our people to just increase their suffering. He's not doing well. So if you are a Liberian and you live in America, I want to tell you that your people are not only calling you for help because they want to call, it's because they are suffering and they are struggling. If you are in America and you are working and one day you want to go back to Liberia and contribute your own quota to developing our country, Mr. Cummings needs your support because tomorrow the same measure people are using against Mr. Cummings, they are going to use it against you. They are going to question your Liberian heritage. You know what it means? Because you came to America, have you lost the fact your Liberian heritage? No, you are still Liberian, and people should not look at you simply because you came outside of Liberia and you survive, and then you go back to your country and they want to use that as a barometer to determine whether you are Liberian or not. There's no one who is more Liberian than another. George Weah has failed our people. We should not settle for populism and just talk about, oh, Liberian is popular and popular. No, the most popular Liberian alive or ever in the history of our country is George Weah, because he played football and he's a football star. But that does not translate to leadership. He is not doing well for our people. It starts with you, me, and everybody. Let us start believing. Call our brothers and sisters back home. Talk to them. Let's go for the best. Let's not settle for the worst we have in our country. Alexander Cummings offers a better alternative. If you want our country to change and you want our people to live in different states, let's vote Alexander Cummings. Let's encourage our people to support Mr. Cummings. We'll go to the polls. Thank you very much. It's been beautiful on the show tonight.
All right. Thank you, Mulbah. Mr. Gayman, your answer the question first and then your closing comments.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I think this was a great show. Mr. Kesselly, young, energetic, people that belong, people his age, are the folks who are supporting the president, and they will take him to the across the finish line. And don't be surprised when we call on him to join the vibrant next administration to do some good. But yes, I think Mr. Eastman asked us a very significant question. Why should the population vote for you? I think everybody has to make that case. And I always quote Tip O'Neill, the former Speaker of the House from Massachusetts. He said, all politics are local. So for me, I was born and raised in Grand Bassa County. When I look at Grand Bassa County for the past 5 years, and I look at the fairgrounds that were built in 1964 by Tuckman, and we used to line up when the president was coming, and the dust and the rain, the road was never paved until President Weah became president, and that road finally was paved. President Weah, under his leadership, the community college of Grand Bassa County was elevated to a university level with appropriate funding. There was a bridge connecting the university and mainland Bassa during the flood. That bridge was destroyed. The president and his administration were able to fund $1.2 million to rebuild that bridge. Grand Bassa County now has a plywood company that will employ between 500 to 900 folks coming online. They also have a cement factory that have been constructed that will also employ 1,000 folks. So yes, the Bassa people have all reason to understand that yes, politics is local. We want everything in Bassa, but we also understand we got other 14 counties that also deserve the same piece of the pie. So yes, we have all reasons to elect the president. We are talking about a University of Liberia that was established for an elite group of kids. Now, with the free education, we have 20,000 students now going to the public university school free. Most of us in the United States, at this time of the year, we were being bombarded by wire fees and all of that. That's money into our pocket. We no longer pay wire fee. So when you look at all of these things, the road connectivity, when our vice president of the local chamber of commerce, when I go solicit company to come to Florida, the first thing they want to know was the utilities. Do you have roads, road connectivity? Do you have schools? Do you have the workforce? For all of these to come together, for a company to come to Liberia, you need utilities. President Weah have brought the utilities back. You need water. Central Mulbah just got water in 20 years. We are talking about road connectivity. So all of these things, when you bring them together, the president has done exceptionally well, and the people will reward him for that. This president, like he said, like Mr. Kesselly just did, they are an elite group of folks. In the first document that Cummings put out, he said, if you are not in a group on that level and do not contribute, you are not going to be employed in their system. So there he goes. He has picked sides. This is not the case here. So I am telling you, my friends, this president, he says, they look at me as a son of this soil, and they tell me as president, they look down on me and they say, I know nothing. He said, but when I look at you, bitter ball seller, pepper seller, pepper board, wheelbarrow pusher, marketeers, they say we don't know nothing, but 6 + 6 is what? And they say 12 years. That's what we are talking about. The lady said the president can connect while Kesselly and Cummings, they are quoting Shakespeare and they are quoting Albert Einstein, where is quoting the marketeers. This is the difference. The people's president, and the next 6 years is going to be better than the past 5 years, and they will vote for him. Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Gayman, thank you so much. And Mulbah, Kesselly, our two panelists. Unfortunately, we lost the independent Robert Garguah Jr. So, listeners and viewers, you've listened to our two panelists, our debaters, Jerome Gayman from the CDC and Mulbah Kesselly from the ANC of Alexander Cummings. Kesselly is pushing the point that Cummings is tired with corruption. Cummings wants to make the change. We can't still be doing the same old things and expecting different results. We have to do different things and have different results. He's contending that Mr. Cummings has the leadership skills. They are going out to the people. They're still going out, and they're sure that come October 10, Mr. Cummings will be elected because he has the credentials. Mr. Gayman is saying that the CDC of George Weah, the incumbent president, is doing all it can to deliver on his promises to the people, according to the PAPD and table number 1, providing adequate health care, education, and basic social services to the people. Well, he's also saying that water is in central Monrovia, pipe-borne water, electricity is all around, the roads are being paved. Well, you need to check your own stats to find out. As the host, I wouldn't be delving into that or disputing or saying what is what, but you, of course, you can check your own stats and find out. I see many text messages here disagreeing, of course, with most of the things that Mr. Gayman is saying. But anyway, I'd like to thank all of you for being out there listening and viewing to Focus on Liberia, the Monday night debate, where the topic tonight was elections 2023, Cummings versus George Weah. If elections were held today, who you think will win, who you will be voting for. And so our two panelists were here to drill home the points. My co-presenter was Ansony, Sieh. Thank all of you for watching and listening. I hope you shared the program. The next time we come, perhaps we have another candidate going against Mr. Weah, who is the incumbent. So don't worry, you will get the night when George Weah will versus Joseph Boakai, or he will versus Tiawon Gonglo or any other candidate in the race. So thanks for being there. We'll be back here next Monday night, same time, same frequency. I am Raymond Oliver Hogarth on behalf of Ansony Sieh saying good night. Have a wonderful evening wherever you are.
We are Liberia. Liberia is our home. Liberia people. Liberia.